Really happy we were able to get property tax reform done out of the House, and now we're on the way to really give people of Michigan real relief. I mean, with that, eliminating the state property tax, the average Michigander will save over I believe, $900 a year. And we're going to force the utilities to lower their rates by $1 billion, and we're going to give that money back to the ratepayers. So this is a big step forward for true savings for the people of Michigan, so they can have a little more money in their pocket. You know, we were able to get it done. We had 56 Republican yes votes, and really proud to be joined today by Karen Whitsett, who came in and voted her district. So I wanted to give Karen a couple minutes here to give everybody an update. Our team has been in touch with her for quite a while, and we're very happy to have her back today to cast that vote that I think is really going to make a difference for the people of Detroit. So you want to say a few words, Karen? We're very happy to have you back.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
I just wanted to also thank the speaker for even having me to be able to speak on this. It's so important that we reduce the property taxes. And that's been something that Mayor Duggan was even trying to do, and we were not able to get that accomplished, and I was on that bill package. So to be able to see something like this today, to be able to go forward and to be able to make a difference to people who need to see relief immediately is extremely important. And I'm quite sure the new mayor, Sheffield of Detroit, is very happy because we're trying to move people into Detroit. You know, we want more people there. We want to have more people are homeowners, and we want to make sure that people who are probably lower income, and we are putting them on the fast track just as she is to be able to become homeowners. So I think this is a great relief that would not have happened if it wasn't for the speaker today and his colleagues to be able to get something like this through. So I'm very happy to be here for it. And like I say, my vote is always in the power of my vote, and I come here and make sure I exercise that vote when it makes sense, and it has to be done to get something accomplished. And that is why I made sure I was here. Right, Beth?
Great. Well, thanks. Thank you, Karen. We're happy to have you here, and I know, you know, you've been in the news lately. You've been making some real bold, courageous moves out there, and I know people across the state were happy to see you there today, making a big difference on making life more affordable for the people of Michigan. So
Absolutely.
Great job, Karen, with that.
Absolutely. It's God-led, so that is absolutely why I made sure I was here. You pray on it, and you do what's right and what God says, and Jesus leads.
Well, great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Karen. Great to have you here. We'll have you back soon, all right?
All right, thank you.
Great to have you, Karen. This is a great moment, I think, out there getting Karen there. And I think the people of Detroit are happy they have at least one representative that's trying to save them some money these days. So thanks for that, Karen. Just to finish up on the property tax, you know, it was disappointing to see, other than Karen Whitsett, all the Democrats vote against a package that would give real relief to their constituents. You know, we hear so much about property tax and how the cost, you know, the property tax has really made it difficult for people to continue to live in their homes. We see how the pop-up tax has made it harder to buy and sell homes, and a lot of people won't leave their homes because if they do, the property taxes will double or triple. And so it's really important to address that. We know the real estate transfer tax is a tax that is making it more expensive to buy and sell your home. And also the personal property tax is driving up a lot of costs. And so by eliminating the personal property tax and then forcing the utilities to lower their rates by $1 billion, we're going to save people about $250 a year on their energy bill. So this was a big deal. Really happy we could move it along. And between the significant property tax cuts and the utility bill savings, we're really looking at probably about $1,200 a year people are going to save on average, which is a big deal. Now, just moving on to well, let me say, we're going to do this, and now that it's through the House, I would expect this to be part of the budget conversations. Moving side by side along the budget conversation will be the conversation about property tax cuts. Just to talk a little bit about what happened today with Selfridge. I was very pleased to see the Senate move Selfridge. They moved the bill clean, just like I said they would. And obviously, they gave the bill to Ron Robinson, which they should have. But remember, I came here several months ago, and I told all of you that we had to do this. We had to get this done in order to guarantee the mission. We saw Democrats come up with all kinds of ridiculous excuses to criticize and delay and obstruct the vote. We saw all of it. And in the end, the Democrats caved. They passed it just like I said they would, clean, just the bill we sent them. They sat on it for 2 months. They made no changes to the bill, and they sent it back just like they should have months ago. And now I'm optimistic that we're going to get the Selfridge done. We got the $156 million for the runway. That is on its way to Governor Whitmer. We'll present that to her very soon. She'll sign it, and we did it. But I do hope you see that all of the excuses we see from the Democrats, whether they're their excuses related to Selfridge, all the things they told you guys. They laughed about the deadline I put out. They questioned whether we even had to do it or not. All the stuff they did that you guys printed. And then at the end of the day, exactly what I said needed to happen, happened. And they did it exactly like I said they would. So this is a huge success for House Republicans, for the state of Michigan, really, for everybody, for the security of Michigan, and also for the economic impact it's going to have in Metro Detroit. And I really want to thank the groups that put the letter together that we got the other day. I know a lot of the local business organizations put a letter together really calling on the Senate Democrats to move the legislation to get Selfridge done. I know the Detroit Chamber was part of that along with some other groups, and I think that was really helpful in putting a pressure on Kevin Hertel and the Democrats and saying to them, look, stop trying to shove pork into this thing. Let's just get this done. Let's not jeopardize the mission. And we got it done. So that was a success. You go back earlier in this year, the deal I negotiated to get the medical licensure compact along with Riley Linting. The next goal was to get a clean Selfridge supplemental. And I asked a lot of people in town today, I said, when's the last time that a supplemental passed the legislature without anyone tacking any pork onto it? And no one can remember. But we did that here. It's a clean supplemental with just Selfridge, the way it should have been. And really the signature achievement, I think, of Ron Robinson's legislative career up to this point. Ron Robinson willed that into happening, and the Democrats caved. We got it done. So I was very pleased about that. Just wanted to also address briefly, we unfortunately, we had to remove Representative Cerniglu from her committees today. I really thought long and hard about that, and just decided this is not a situation where a half measure is warranted. I believe we really needed to take a full measure on this in order to protect the institution, to continue to have civility in the chamber, to protect decorum. But I know MERS, I believe MERS reported on this, exactly what happened a few days ago. And you guys can look at the MERS story, but we saw kind of a disagreement occurring between Rep. Cerniglu and Chair Woolford in the subcommittee that he chairs related to a lot of the waste, fraud, and abuse his subcommittee. We saw Rep. Cerniglu to kind of challenge Chair Wolford about some other bills that were not germane to the discussion in the committee. We see that Rep. Wolford responded to her, really encouraging her to focus on the subject before the committee, saying to her, if you have questions on what I support legislatively, we can talk about that offline. It's really not the place of the subcommittee for a representative on the committee to take the floor and really try to challenge the chair of that committee to answer questions about bills that are not before the committee. We've never seen anything like that in the whole time I've been here. We saw kind of an exchange there between the two. After the committee goes at ease, comes back to order. There's another kind of back and forth disagreement between Wolford and Cerniglu, where Cerniglu says to Chair Wolford, I think we've had enough of this from you, which was completely out of order. You don't see this where a member is really going at the chair like that. She was ruled out of order. They went at ease. We see her continue to challenge the chair, talking about, she's done. So just going through that, kind of watching the tape, we just can't have these sorts of situations. I saw in here also kind of challenging the chair directly, saying, that's enough from you. We're just not going to have that here. I don't want to allow that in the committees here. We want every member to be able to speak. And remember, by the way, when the Democrats controlled the House, often they wouldn't let the Republicans speak on the floor. You remember that. That's not our intent, but I'll say if you are out of order consistently, you're challenging the chair, you're bringing up bills that are out of order, unrelated, really talking at him in a very condescending way. And we've had a few other instances with Rep. Cerniglu similar to this that, we could have that slot for another committee member that really wants to bring a more productive conversation, wants to focus on the important issues facing the legislature and the people of Michigan. So we just said enough. We're not going to put up with this. We're not going to have Democrat members act unruly and out of order in the committee. So I removed her from all committees and subcommittees, and intend to replace her with somebody who's really going to bring more constructive feedback to the committee, and who's really going to work to help us hold the different departments of government accountable. So I'll stop there. I don't know if there are any questions for me. Yeah, go ahead.
Rep. Cerniglu maintains that it was her press conference yesterday demanding a vote on her proposal that will create a select committee to look into Interlocken's ties to Epstein. Did that play into that decision at all?
No, I don't care about her press conference. I mean, you guys see, I get criticized by everybody in all kinds of press conferences every day. I don't care about her press conference. I wasn't even aware of her press conference. This is solely based on the decision, based on the body of work that I saw in the committee. I'm not going to put up with that. I mean, we're just not going to put up with members on committees that act unruly and out of line, that challenge and attack and disrespect the chairs. Just like I don't put up with it when they do it over here in the scrums, right in front of you guys, staff and members. We don't put up with it there. We're not going to put up with it in committee. We didn't put up with it when we saw that conduct from Julie Brixey on the floor either. We just don't put up with it. Ranjit Puri, who's a failed leader, isn't going to get his caucus in line. I will, and that's what we're doing. We're disciplining his caucus. We're bringing order to his caucus, and truthfully, we're lifting up better leaders like Joe Tate, people that can help us solve problems rather than layering in all these obstructionists everywhere. I think the people of Michigan want us to solve their problems. There's a lot of problems out there. They want us working on that. They want us working together to do it, and you don't see any of that from Rep. Cerniglu. I think, we can find better leaders. Yeah, go ahead.
So notably, you didn't pass 5880 tonight, which all the other property tax bills are tied to. That one is the services tax. That is the one that will be used to pay for the cuts to school aid fund, local governments. It's tie-barred. Is property tax really done without that being passed? And by voting for the other bills in the package, are all your members kind of signing on to support that service tax increase?
Well, I think they're tie-barred, so, in order to get the property tax relief and to lower utility bills, we are going to, it's tied to a replacement that guarantees that there's backfills for schools and local governments. And it's our intent to negotiate the details of that with the Whitmer administration during the budget negotiations so that we have consensus that the schools are made whole and the local governments are taken care of. I would say that I was really surprised to see, other than Karen Whitsett, every Democrat vote against property tax cuts. That would save their constituents $900 a year on average, and to see them vote against a cut to their utility bills, I was surprised to see that. And I suspect that many of these Democrats that are obstructing us every step of the way as we're trying to make things better for their constituents, I suspect every one of them will be voting yes on the final deal that lowers property taxes and also ensures that schools and local governments are taken care of.
If I can follow up, I mean, a lot of the pushback from the municipal league, school groups, it was because there wasn't information about this service tax, which the rest of the bills are tied for. People are like, we support the concept of property tax cuts, but we don't know how it's going to be paid for. So is it really an objection to property tax? And do your members support that service tax increase?
Well, it's a luxury tax, and we've talked a lot about it. We know the lobbyists are going to pay for it. We know that the robocallers, they're going to pay for it, all the robocalls, the telemarketers. We know people with private jets. We're going to tax the limousine services, all of that. So we're gonna make some, we're gonna do that. But again, to really ensure that it's revenue neutral or a net tax cut, I feel more comfortable doing that with the Treasury Department. If I did this, I'll just say this, I'd do my best estimate possible with just House Fiscal of revenue neutral. And if it was $5 off, they'd make the same argument. They'd say, oh, he's gutting this and he's gutting that. What we saw here from the Democrats today was obstructionism. These people will criticize anything I do, no matter what, okay? The facts don't even matter. They'll attack. 41 of them voted no on Selfridge, right? You remember that? They all voted no on Selfridge. I bet you most of them are going to try to come to the bill signing, even though 41 of them voted no. So their goal is to obstruct, block progress, right? And what we wanted to do is keep the momentum going for property tax cuts that are going to save the people of Michigan on average $900 a year. We wanted to keep the momentum going on lowering their energy bills by forcing the utilities to lower their rates by $1 billion and wipe out the last 3 years of rate increases. And so they're just going to oppose. And then when I get a deal with Gretchen Whitmer, they're going to try to take credit. That's just how they are. They did the same thing on roads. They opposed us and opposed us and opposed us on roads. They did it on Selfridge. And look, we got the greatest roads deal in Michigan's history, over $2 billion a year. None of their concerns ever came to fruition. Most of them tried to take credit. Same thing with Selfridge, and you're going to see it again on property tax cuts. And because ultimately, in order to make this law, you have to get a balanced deal in divided government. We've got to make a deal with Gretchen Whitmer, and then the Senate Democrats will perform. But in order to get that deal, you have to have the balance there. So they'll all vote for it. The problem is the obstruction on the front end. They want to obstruct it on the front end to make sure that property tax cuts is not even a reality because they don't want me to get the credit. That's why. And then we push and push and push, and we get it done despite their obstructionism, and then they'll pile on right at the end and take credit. And those are the type of politicians people are sick of, honestly. And that's why they're going to vote out a lot of these people. Yeah, go ahead.
When you say that you want to see this negotiated side by side by the budget, does that mean that no final budget goes up for a vote in the House without this passing?
Well, it's part of the negotiation. I mean, our plan is to get property tax cut, and to do a budget that doesn't raise taxes and doesn't take money from the rainy day fund. So, we can have revenue neutral. Like I said, I mean, if we're cutting property taxes and we're replacing it with a luxury tax on, luxury services, and we do that to make them whole, but we're not proposing tax increases that bring more revenue in that'll make this budget bigger than last year. Our goal is to make this budget smaller than last year, just like we did this past year. It'd make it the second year in a row that it was a smaller budget than the year before. And so in doing that, we want to make sure that we fund Medicaid for everyone that needs it, but we also want to ensure that we're eliminating the waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid. And we've shown that we can save over $2 billion in the state budget by stopping the practice of over-budgeting and using the real dollar amounts, getting rid of all the ghost employees. And there are ghost employees. We found over 3,300 ghost employees. On top of the 2,000 that we eliminated last year, we found 3,300 more ghost employees that are costing the taxpayers $500 million a year. So we're going to eliminate the ghost employees. We're going to rein in the IT spending. We're going to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse in our welfare system. And we're going to deliver a budget smaller than last year that includes significant property tax and utility bill relief for the people of Michigan. That's what we're going to do. Yeah.
So you're saying that this is like the roads did last year where no budget passes without a property tax bill also passing?
I don't think that I have to put that boldly, but I do think we'll get a deal that includes property tax cut and a budget that's smaller than last year. Yeah, Beth?
Earlier today, you were at a fundraiser for the HRCC, and your house sergeants were standing outside the fundraiser. Can you describe what your official duty was at that fundraiser that would allow you to take house sergeants there for this security?
So what we do is we bring the House sergeants to many events where a lot of legislators are announced. That's something that I've been very clear about that we're planning to do. So when we have events that we see a lot of legislators at, they're announced at, we want to ensure that there's a presence of sergeants in the area to protect those legislators from a lot of the things that are out there in terms of threats. So.
Yeah, but the law requires that it be connected to official duties. How is a fundraiser an official duty for the law?
Well, a lot of the things you would see in terms of the threats are connected to my official duties, and so when I'm out and about doing things, or we see a large group of legislators doing things, because of the threats that are made in the context of their official duties, really, I can't do anything without, if I'm out somewhere and somebody is threatening me, I can't say to them, well, why don't you go and do this in the state office building? It's going to happen where it's going to happen, and we want to ensure that we have a presence in those places, particularly when legislators are advertised to appear somewhere publicly that gets out that there's a presence nearby to keep them safe. And I think that would be consistent with what you see with the governor and others, that they have security. And honestly, it goes much, much further than what you're describing.
Oh, I didn't read that as well.
Mhm.
My other question is, would you support moving the primary for Attorney General and Secretary of State to August, like to a vote of the people instead of a nomination process?
Yeah, I've not taken any position on that. I saw that Jocelyn Benson supports that, but it's the Democrats are pushing for. Basically, the Democrat convention went very poorly. The Democrats elected candidates that are very extreme. Honestly, it's kind of funny to see. Not only did the Democrats elect very extreme, unelectable candidates at their conventions, but they also don't know how to run an election. And we see a lot of complaints and infighting about the election results, whose vote counted, whose vote didn't count. Apparently, there are reports that people voted from out of state and out of the country, definitely not at the convention. Their convention was a mess. I personally am not surprised. I know a lot of the establishment is surprised, but I wasn't surprised that Jim Runstead ran a model convention that elected outstanding candidates, and Doug Lloyd for Attorney General, who's really been a middle-of-the-road, down-the-middle prosecutor in Eaton County, and Anthony Forlini, who's just been a phenomenal Macomb County clerk in two of the most important counties in the state, running against, Garland Gilchrist, who, by the way, I helped him get that nomination. I picked him because I think he'd be the easiest one to beat. He shows up about 4% of the time. Is not very impressive guy. And then this Washtenaw County prosecutor who has a very extreme record. And then you start going further and you look at these people they elected for U of M Regent with very radical views. So after that, the Democrats realized, oh no, we're going to lose in November because of the candidates we picked. And so in a very Democrat approach, they want to overturn the results, right? The Democrats, if you remember, they rigged the election for Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. You remember that, where they took the voice away from their delegates? They rigged it. They tried to rig it for Biden, remember? And then when that didn't work, they rigged it for Kamala Harris. They didn't allow an open process. So I'm not surprised that because this is not working, the efforts of the Democrat elites to control the outcomes and pick their preferred candidates, I'm not surprised that now they want to change the rules. That's pretty typical with them. And so at this time, I'm just kind of sitting back and focusing on other things. But I'm not surprised. When the Democrats thought that the convention process favored them, they had no interest in changing it. It wasn't until the delegates elected radical people that are unelectable that the Democrat party bosses now want to rig their process. And I'm not surprised, to be honest, but we're not engaging in any conversations to change it at this time. Yeah, go ahead.
A key part of property tax reform is the tax.
Right.
I noticed that the constitutional amendment was not addressed tonight. Does that package can't be enacted without a constitutional amendment without voters?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. So, my view on this, I've consulted with our legal counsel, and as you know, I'm a constitutional attorney. So, You know, we determined that we don't need a constitutional amendment to do it. We can do it through a regular bill and that's what we did. So I think when the bill sponsor introduced it, the bill sponsor really put like a belt and suspenders approach on it, kind of offered two options, a regular bill and a constitutional amendment. I went through it with our legal teams, and we came to the conclusion that we do not need a constitutional amendment. We can do it solely through a regular bill, and we do that by defining the term. We define the term, and we explain that all the property moving forward is not subject to the pop-up tax. And that's going to cause people to really save a lot of money on their property taxes. It's going to make homes much more affordable. People will be able to buy and sell homes without having to worry about the tax pop-up. And the more, like as seniors that have lived in the same home for 30 years can sell that home, move into a smaller home, that's going to open up homes for people to buy. It's going to bring down the cost of housing. So you don't have to just subsidize things to make them affordable. You can also improve tax policy and regulatory policy, and that's what we're doing. Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
So I know over the past couple of years, your caucus has had a lot of critiques of the MEDC, different grants they handle, the SOAR program, a lot of different things. You haven't really made meaningful changes there. I mean, you cut off SOAR funding, but the process by which the MEDC acts, there haven't been any laws changed. Are you able to see why that is? Why you guys haven't acted in that sense?
Well, I think what we do is the way I've tried to approach things, and by the way, I've been very successful. Whether it's the roads deal, no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, heat, the hall ethics, accountability, and transparency plan. I mean, the major things that I've taken on have happened, okay? I mean, they have. So I'm actually pretty good at this. And so what I try to do is I have, a lot of conversations with the governor and her team. As you know, we have a great relationship. We talk a lot. And you just say, hey, here's 20 issues that we'd really like to work on. What issues do you want to work on? And you have those conversations and you work them through, and then you focus on the things that you think you can get there. Now, I've had a very high success rate, and when you enter into every one of those conversations, you don't know for sure that you're going to get a deal. But I can say with decent certainty that I believed we'd get a deal on the medical licensure compact, and we did. I believed I would get a deal for a clean supplemental on Selfridge, and I did. No pork attached. And now I'm looking and saying, I think I can get a deal on property tax in the budget that's going to lower people's property taxes considerably. It's probably not going to be everything that the House passed today, but I do believe some of the things the House passed today will become law as part of a budget deal, and people are going to save a lot of money on their property taxes and utility bills as a result of the work that we're doing here. When I look at other reforms to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, I don't see an opportunity to get that done with Gretchen Whitmer. I just don't. I see that opportunity ahead with a new governor, and that new governor will be wanting to change this agency, I believe. And I intend to be very involved as Speaker next year in making those changes to the MEDC with a new governor. And I think that makes sense anyway, because you think about it, if we did a deal with Gretchen Whitmer to change the MEDC, I still think that another governor would want to come in and change it again. And therefore, I think the best way to handle the situation at this time has been to cut off the funding. One of the things that I negotiated in the deal to get the $156 million for Selfridge Air National Guard Base, or it's $152 million, right? I have my numbers crossed. $152 million for Selfridge in that deal was to take that money from the SOAR fund. So what we did is we funded the $152 million for Selfridge. I got an agreement with Governor Whitmer that they would lapse that money out of the SOAR fund. And so that's another way that we're kind of draining the Economic Development Fund. I have a lot more confidence in using that money for the mission at Selfridge that will have a true economic benefit for Michigan and will ensure for the next 40 years that we have a fighter mission there, as opposed to them spending that money out of SOAR for another one of these experimental electric battery plants that don't come to fruition. So I thought that was a good deal. So we're slowly chipping away at the money that's in the SOAR fund. We're not putting new money into these economic development programs. And I think that's how we address it for now, is we stop the bleed on the spending. We find better use like roads and property tax cuts and backfilling local governments and schools. And then we reform it with a new governor next year who I think will be motivated to do it, because someone that isn't as attached to it as Gretchen Whitmer is would look at this and see there's a lot of need for reform. I just don't think we're going to get it with her because, quite frankly, she's in year 8 of this. She has her people. We need an outside, fresh perspective from a new governor to make those changes to the department. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering your reaction to the Michigan State University Board voting to double the president's salary and also change rules around what trustees would say publicly. Wonder your reaction to that and how that could impact the negotiations given
Right. Well, I mean, it's clear that Michigan State University has lost its way, and their board, quite frankly, has been an embarrassment in recent years. I've heard some very positive things about their new president, and I've met him, and we'll see how he does. It was kind of interesting. It's pretty shocking to double somebody's salary. I mean, I was very shocked by that when I saw it. Unfortunately, this appears to be kind of in line with what University of Michigan was planning to do for their president. If you start looking at some of the better universities across the state or country, this is in line. I was pretty surprised to see that. I think their university presidents are probably overpaid, to be honest. But that seems to be in line with what the market is for a lot of those university presidents. I just hope that this president performs and he gets Michigan State back on the right track. I think they're on the wrong track with the RX Kids program. They're administering welfare to illegal aliens, and they're paying out unconditional income with no strings attached, no eligibility requirements, no citizenship requirements. They're paying out all kinds of money to illegal aliens and people that have no economic need, and a lot of people are using the money to buy drugs and alcohol and to gamble and probably to use prediction markets and all kinds of things. So I think Michigan State University should stop administering that program. I think they should focus on their agricultural mission, get back to the basics, and really try to focus on some core areas and become the best in the country in those areas. I think they would do well. I hope that this president is the right leader. He's certainly got the paycheck, and now I'm hopeful he'll perform. In terms of the board has been completely dysfunctional. It's mostly run by Democrats. I think is there one Republican? It's like 7-1. And, there's one that says that they're an independent on there. So what would that be? Let's assume this person is an independent who was appointed by Whitmer. Then what would it be? Like 6-1-1, something like that. It's a dysfunctional Democrat-run board. And the fact that they're proposing censoring themselves, that's not surprising from a bunch of Democrats, to be honest. But, I mean, should the regents, or what do they call trustees, should they really be getting all the football ticket perks anyway? I mean, come on. You see these guys on the field during the games and everything, and a lot of them, they get to stay going on the field even after they're done as trustees. So if we have fewer trustees that get to go on the field during the game, that's not the end of the world. There's probably too many of them on the field anyway. Maybe we'll get better quality candidates for the board if they aren't as focused on football tickets as these guys are. Yeah.
And you probably already said this, but just to clarify, that piece with the luxury tax that you
Yeah.
did, proposed, so that did not pass. Is there a timeline for when it will pass, or that's all going to be decided in negotiations?
Yeah, so I've tried to be very transparent about this once we made the call to do this several weeks ago. So as I was going through the details of the luxury tax, I want to start with the luxury tax is very complicated. And so I feel really good about the proposal that we kind of sketched out about taxing the lobbyists, taxing the robocalls, taxing the telemarketers, the debt collectors, limousines, private jets, all of that. But I feel more confident if we kind of compared notes with the Treasury Department and came to a consensus to ensure that there's consensus that it's revenue neutral, that our local governments will be taken care of, that our schools will be made whole. And for that reason, I decided we're going to hold that back and bring it to the negotiation so that when we do bring it forward, we're going to ensure that there's consensus that it's revenue neutral, really to address the concerns that you would somehow be cutting important local services and services for schools. And I would say you're not going to get a deal on this property tax reform unless you have a balanced deal in a divided government with a Democrat governor and Democrat Senate. It will be balanced. So we'll get the property tax cuts, and we'll have confidence together that the replacement we come up with is going to be capable of ensuring schools are held harmless and that our local governments are taken care of.
I have one last question.
Sure, go ahead.
The Repowitz had said in the past, when she talked about why she was not doing mental Lansing, that she wouldn't come up, that she had better leverage for her community in terms of earmarks and all that by withholding her vote until you guys really needed it. Did you promise her anything for voting in favor of these property tax proposals today?
No. I would say we all evolve in our roles. Every 2 years that I've been in this job, it's been a totally different job. From new member to chair of tax to minority leader to speaker. All of them are different jobs. You grow, and so. I think Rep. Whitsett has grown in her service too, and we've seen some of the comments she's made recently about the Democrat Party, and I think she feels in some ways free from the party bosses and able to vote her conscience. And so when we laid out to Rep. Whitsett, who we stay in communication with, hey, this is what we're doing, she thought about it and said, well, that's going to save people in Detroit a lot of money on their property taxes and utility bills. And she said, I'll be there. And we had to make that call and work that, several hours before she appeared. And I didn't know exactly where we'd be. I thought we'd get there with just Republicans, but I didn't know for sure where we would be. But I was really proud the Republicans came together. 56 Republicans voted yes And the fact that it could be bipartisan with Karen Whitsett coming in and standing up for Detroit, I thought was really meaningful. But no, there was no conversation about anything other than property tax. And I'm really grateful that she was there. I always knew she'd be back. Something we've talked about up here. I knew she'd be back when we were working on something really important, when the people of Michigan needed her to help them save money, and she was. So, and I don't think that's the last time you'll see her. I'm sure she'll be back more as we're working on really critical issues. I thought it was great to see her. I mean, you guys all look pretty surprised. Yeah.
You mentioned you wanted to see this be revenue neutral and you want to work it out with the Treasury. Does
Right.
that mean that the final, whatever tax ends up back from these, could be beyond just services? It could be something that we haven't discussed yet?
I think we're going to focus on the luxury services, you know. If we were to tax all services, we estimate it'd be $18 billion, okay? The proposal we moved today, I consider to be a $5 billion proposal. But even if you use some of the, numbers that that House Fiscal attributes to the pop-up tax, which I disagree with them on, you're still at a fraction of the overall service tax. And so you can take really a part of the service tax and you can apply it really for the luxury services, and you can, and you don't have to do healthcare, tax. You don't have to do personal care services. You don't have to do a lot of those things that were really unpopular when the Democrats pushed that through when Gretchen Whitmer was in the legislature. We can really focus on the more luxury services as we're doing the negotiation, because there's so much room there with $18 billion. You can exempt most services and really zero in on the luxury services. All right, well, sorry we kept you so late, but at least, we gave you something there at the end, I bet your colleagues wish they would have been there to see that. That was quite a few moments in the chamber, wasn't it? So that's why you guys come every day, right? We try to put on something for you that that you can write about. So hopefully we did that. And I thought particularly with Selfridge, the deal there and the property tax, I think we've had a pretty good day here. Looking forward to what's ahead the rest of the week. So thanks, everybody.